Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dialogues from the President's Corner featuring Dr. Czarda, President of Greensboro College, as well as our special guest today, Juliet Lowery, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here on campus. So since it's our first recording of 2023, how are both of your years starting off so far?
Going pretty well.
Mine is off to a very good start. Some good news, and today it's a 70-degree day in January, so I'm waiting for flowers to pop up in January.
Oh, I'm still waiting for the snow. As MLK Day recently passed, and we're in the first few days of February, which is Black History Month, we wanted to focus our episode today on the college's efforts of continuing Dr. King's labor towards championing diversity, sensitivity, and inclusion. So as part of that work, I know we recently announced a new commission on campus. So Dr. Zada, do you want to talk about that and where this idea came from?
Matthew, probably important to put it in context so it makes sense to people listening. 2020 was one of the worst years I think we all went through with the pandemic raging, but also the murder of George Floyd. I mean, it was one of those summers I'm old enough to remember the unrest of the 70s, Watergate in the 70s, 60s, the Summer of Love, and so on. And to my mind, that was one of those catalytic times in the culture of the country, not just Greensboro College. What we did on campus is a couple of key people, Juliet's predecessor and some other staff, Chaplain Robert Brewer, Dean of Students Shannon Plasters, myself, and others. We fairly quickly put together a group that we called Campus Conversations. There's about 10 of us. And it was a place where we invited students, faculty, staff to talk about what's the environment on campus, what can we do? What can we do?
Yeah.
And out of that came a commitment that was put into an infographic of 11 commitments the college would tackle. Some are essentially evergreen and ongoing and always will be. Others were one time decisions. For example, Martin Luther King's birthday and Juneteenth are now college holidays. They were not before. We did the research on our buildings. We're somewhat unusual for a campus as we have no statues, so we did not have that issue that some others have.
Yeah.
And we found that none of our buildings are named after Confederate generals or any of that. But we do have an issue ongoing that the Lee Center, which is not Robert E. Lee, but Lea Solomon Lee, we do have records that he was a slave owner. So it's likely the main building, the original main building, may have been built with enslaved people's labor. We also had Dr. Cheryl Dice come in from Elon University, who is a well recognized scholar in matters of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she made a report. And one of the specific recommendations, it's something we wanted to do, I wanted to do anyway, but I didn't have the form, was to create what we announced this week, which is the President's Commission on Inclusive Excellence. Juliet will chair that commission and report directly to the president. But it is, in my mind and from my perspective, where I sit, a very serious commitment to really making all matters of diversity, equity, and inclusion on our campus a part of the fabric of the culture of Greensboro College.
Okay. Thank you. So with this new commission, could you, I guess, elaborate a little bit more, I guess, both of you, on what are some of the goals of the new commission?
I will start, but I will also say that when I appointed the group, it was in very close collaboration with Juliet. And in fact, most of the language that the members have seen really comes from Juliet, so I'm going to defer to her. But I'm looking for actionable items, whether it be tangible items like names of a building or ways we do business, or a commitment to specifically change our demographics in certain areas. And so I think it's an important forum for discussion that is important, but I am looking for actionable items in a plan. And then I will defer to Juliet because I have charged her with making this happen.
Yes, and so with the President's Commission of Inclusive Excellence, the inclusive excellence actually comes from AAC&U, which is the Association of American Colleges and Universities. So it's a framework that we'll be able to utilize as we're moving forward. As Dr. Czarda said, he wants some actionable items, things that we can move on. And so we will have this framework as a guide to help us in terms of putting that plan together. The hopes is that we will embed the diversity, equity, and inclusion pieces within our mission, our vision, academics, every fabric of Greensboro College, using this framework as a guide.
Okay, thank you. Julia, as a newer member here on GC's campus, you want to talk a little bit about like your experience and background and how has that like prepared you for this new role?
Well, I have been in higher ed, I like to say 25 years plus, but I guess it's now 30 years. I'm dating myself a little bit there, but I started off when I was 10. So I've been in higher ed for 30 plus years, and I've been at various types of institutions, small private, mid-sized, large public. So that has given me the opportunity to see how higher ed works on all these different campuses. And for me, doing this work, it's about being passionate and committed to the work. I can't say, or I won't say that I'm an expert. What I can say is that this is work that I've been doing for at least 20 some years. And I am one who, uh, you can't do this by yourself. It's not a one person lift. It's about having a team of people, a campus, if you will, working towards these goals. And again, with that passion and that commitment to get the work done, being a lifelong learner, understanding what the trends are in higher ed, and being able to bring those to campus and share out. President Czarda has charged me with this. I take that very seriously, and I look forward to working with the committee and with campus to bring those goals and help embed them into the fabric of Greensboro College.
Thank you. Since you've been here on campus, I mean, I've seen you out and about. You're all over the place, and so I guess in your observations of the college so far, what do you would say would be some of the strengths of the college in terms of the goals of the new commission, as well as areas you think that there can be improvement?
Strengths, I would say that the intent is there. People are very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but sometimes when there isn't a clear, defined path in terms of how we get from point A to point B to, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it can get lost.
Hmm.
And so knowing that there is that enthusiasm both from faculty, staff, and students, uh, being that person that will kind of champion the team in moving forward and putting some things in place to kind of build upon the enthusiasm that we see here on campus and help it, kind of blossom and get it going.
I know when the announcement went out, just reading the description, I know there were certain focus areas such as like community engagement and campus climate. So, what would you say might be some of your first steps of the commission?
Well, the first steps would be having that initial meeting with the committee and President Zarda giving us our charge, but then helping the committee to understand what their roles will be, because that's very important. The goals, being transparent about how we're going to move forward and things that we're going to be put in place, but really looking at every aspect of campus. What are things that we're doing well when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what are some of the things that we may need to bring up to par?
Yeah.
So those will be some of the first things that I envision. President Zarda may have some other things to add to that, but I think we have to have that foundation to build upon. And so it's going to be really important for the committee to understand their roles and what the committee, it's one thing to have this is the committee, you're being charged with XYZ,
Mhm.
but for them to have a true understanding of how the committee is going to move forward. And President Zarda, you may have some other things that you want to add to that.
It's something actually that we have talked about and we agree on, Juliet and I, is that we live in a remarkable community when it comes to the matters of what people would call either civil rights or diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are resources here that cities of our size don't have. The history of the four North Carolina A&T students and many others, including Greensboro College students, with the sit-in in Woolworths, which is now the International Civil Rights Museum. It's literally walkable from campus. The Greensboro Historical Museum has also done a number of different displays over time which speak to these issues. We have two HBCUs within our city, Bennett College and North Carolina A&T, Very few cities have those kinds of resources. So part of what I also hope the commission is able to do is leverage those resources for Greensboro College. We don't have to create any of that.
Yes.
It's there.
I'm very much looking forward to the new commission and the work that's going to be done. I'm really excited about this. Thank you again, Juliet, for coming by to meet with us today. And thank you again, Dr. Czarda, for recording with us. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.